Hey everyone, my name is Grakus. I am in a guild called a bonus, and this is our Nightbane run. We've watched a few videos of how people do this, and we ended up sort of using our own little method, but it's not far off from what people do. You want to make sure that you have an AoE stun, preferably two. What we have is a Resto Shaman and an Elemental Shaman, or sorry, an Enhancement Shaman, so they both opted to take the AoE stun talents. We do this a little bit differently. We will start the run, we'll kill the very first mob, interrupt the cast because she fears you, and then we just pull everything all the way to the first boss, start the encounter, and we end up dying because our shaman can self-res. So we don't waste the time to try to DPS him down. We just take the hit, take the repair bill for it. Just all of us die. She uses her self-res and reses us all at the first boss, and it makes it really simple and really quick. You don't have to worry about the stuns on your tanks or dodging the AoEs. We just found it to be the simplest method. I always recommend to do a ready check right before you start. You'll notice that we do. I do it for all my mythic pluses because sometimes somebody's AFK and then it'll ruin the run if you're not careful. Resetting Kyra is sometimes a problem, so I suggest making sure everyone is there and ready to go before you start the game. I'm going to speed this up, and hopefully it will help everyone else get their achievement as well. Okay, so I've sped this up to 4 times the regular speed. You'll see that we kill the first little mob, interrupt her cast, she'll fear you. The rest of it, we get aggro on, drop a stun at the top of the stairs, and pull all the way through to the first boss. We hide in the corner, make sure everything gets down there, and then we die. After they stop their casts, we have our shaman res us, and we sit down, get our food buff. It's important to note that we actually started the narration before we died. There's a lot of RP in that little episode, so make sure you talk to them before you die so that you're not sitting there around waiting. The boss here depends on what you get. It's still fairly straightforward and easy. The couple things to keep in mind is we do not use a potion and we do not use hero. We have to keep the potion cooldown up for our invis potion, and we use hero for Moroes, obviously, and that's pretty much the first boss. The next part is we pull all of the dancers on the top. We make sure to use our AoE stunts at that point. We get to the bottom of the stairs and just hit our potion and walk through that small segment. And then we get the mobs in the corner, right next to the crystal. Kill all these. Our DPS goes over and touches the crystal while our tank goes ahead and pulls some more. On the ushers, make sure you turn around whenever they do their flashlight, otherwise it's going to disorient you and they'll kill your DPS. At this point, we're just going to clear towards the second crystal. So you'll see us gather up mobs, rotate AoE stuns. The tank will be using cooldowns as appropriate. It's just pretty much pull everything, kill it all, get to the second crystal. Nothing really to see here. The DPS will be touching the crystal to make, and they have to be out of combat to do that. So we just opt to kill everything, and we move ahead while our DPS is clearing the crystal. Up here, make sure you interrupt the casts. They tend to heal as a big AoE group. After you clear everything, make sure your hunter dismisses his pets before you jump down. There's always a problem with aggro. We pull everything down here, and then we get to Moroes. Now, when you're at Moroes, depending on the ads you get, you might have to adjust your strategy a little bit. There's one ad, and you can open up the dungeon journal and check, but there's one ad, a Baron, that does a massive AoE. Anytime we've done Moroes and had him, we ended up CCing him, and we would pull them off the table and get them all together. Since he wasn't part of this run, what we opted to do instead is everyone runs up, hits hero, and just AoEs everything down. We focus on the ads first, of course, and then we slowly work on Moroes, and then after he dies, you can see the crystal next to us over on the right hand side. He also drops a set of keys. Make sure that whoever's picking up the crystal also picks up the set of keys, because that's what unlocks the door to that outside area for Nightbane. I'm going to go ahead and speed up the rest of this. After we kill him, we end up going down to the dungeon. So now that I've sped it back up, Moroes is going to die. Our DPS stays back, touches the crystal, picks up the keys, and we head towards the dungeon. The dungeon area is pretty simple, same thing as everything else. You pull a whole bunch of stuff. I think my DPS pulled a little bit extra because he's fire and combust hits everything. Over here, we opt to pull around 3 spiders at a time. You can pull more if you use cooldowns. Just make sure that your tank can survive the hits and use his cooldowns appropriately when he has a whole bunch. We also, of course, use plenty of AoE stuns in order to stop the casts. We try not to touch too many of the webs on the ground, but you'll end up pulling a whole bunch anyway. We're very much ahead on time right now, so we pull some extra, we kill all these, touch the crystal, and then we enter the portal. Now, as we go upstairs, you'll notice that the tank is pulling a whole bunch of mobs. Generally speaking, I like to pull everything to where we only have 1 shrieking at a time, so you can always interrupt their fear. And then I just usually keep running while my DPS kill everything while it's chasing me. As long as you have really good aggro, it's never a problem. In here we pull some of the extra adds, kill things as they come. Now for this part, after you kill the nullifier, you're going to have to pull some of these extra packs. We opted to pull 2 at a time because our DPS allowed to kill their shields and start interrupting them after the first cast. Again, we're way ahead on time, so you can actually pull these 1 at a time if need be, and it's no problem. Otherwise, it might be too much for your healer. Somebody will die. For Curator, we simply do about it the same as normal. We're so far ahead that our hero timer is not reset yet, and it won't be reset until the very end of the fight. Typically, you'll want to use hero again and use your potions during the phase where he's sitting down and getting his mana back. You'll notice that it's not so much an issue. You can probably forego a hero if your DPS is good enough, and then save it for Nightbane. So, wherever he dies, the crystal lands at his body, and then we jump down and run over to Medivh. Now, the person who is clicking all of the crystals will also have to turn it into Nightbane. Once they turn in, you end up getting the achievement, Nightbane summoned, and you have as many attempts on him as you need. There are a few mechanics that you'll have to watch out for, specifically for the healer. There are mechanics where she's not supposed to heal anybody, or heal the person with the debuff. That person's supposed to stand in fire. You can look this up. A lot of it was in the dungeon journal, and when we tackled Nightbane, we looked in the dungeon journal and just played it by ear. Took a few attempts, but we managed to get it down. Once you have some practice, it's pretty easy to one-shot, but the mechanics themselves are important enough to where if you don't perform them correctly, you'll end up wiping pretty quickly. Last note is that only 1 mount drops during a run, so we opted to do it 5 weeks in a row with the same people and made sure that everyone got their mount, and then we started rotating other people into the group as needed. That didn't finish the achievement. And that's it. That's it for the Kara run and Nightbane, so hope you enjoyed watching, and good luck. Go get your mount.